Let's talk about the Arizona Cardinals. The Arizona Cardinals are one of the most intriguing teams in the NFL because in 2024, they finished out being 8-9, and they did have a lead in their division at the midway point of the regular season. So what happened? The offensive line did not help out Kyler Murray. Drew Petzing, their offensive coordinator, was completely terrible all season long, but their defense really let them down. I'm going to talk about Kyler Murray and that offense on the back half of this video, but I really want to talk about the defensive problems that the Cardinals have ran into over the last 4 to 5 years. Their last great pass rusher was J.J. Watt, and you can make the case that he wasn't even great, but J.J. Watt did come in and he gave the Arizona Cardinals a lot of good things. He was very good against the run. He's very good in terms of going back there and getting to the quarterback. J.J. Watt's one of the best defensive players of all time. Great for him to end his career on a high note by having a very good season. They were not in Super Bowl contention, but you did see J.J. Watt go out there and have a positive impact with the Arizona Cardinals. This was also a major problem. You're depending on an older player in J.J. Watt that has dealt with a lot of injuries throughout his career to be your top pass rusher. And that has been a huge problem with the Arizona Cardinals over the last 5 to 6 years. You have not had a consistent pass rusher. You tried to work things out with Robert Nkemdiche many years ago. You selected him in the first round. He was a complete bust. But you have young players on this roster right now. B.J. Ojulari, his rookie season, only had 4 sacks. But you saw the potential there. Coming out of LSU, B.J. Ojulari was a very good player. His rookie year, solid numbers. Year number 2, he missed the entire season, dealing with an injury. Hopefully he can come back next season and he can have a positive impact with the Arizona Cardinals. But he's a young player that's entering year number 3. You also have another player by the name of Darius Robinson. You selected him in the first round with Marvin Harrison Jr. I know that a lot of people push him off to the side because Marvin Harrison Jr. was seen as this generational prospect. He's the son of Marvin Harrison, who was a great wide receiver with the Indianapolis Colts. But when I look at Darius Robinson here, he missed 11 games, so he only had 1 sack on the year. Darius Robinson was not supposed to come in and be their top edge rusher in the first place, but the fact that he missed 11 games does concern me. But when he did come into the football games and when he was able to finish out the season, he did look good. So that could be a very good rotational player that you can ease into the starting lineup in certain situations. One day he will be a true starter for the Arizona Cardinals, but you have to give it time. So you're dealing with 2 young players that are dealing with injuries, and Darius Robinson and also B.J. Ojulari. But they went out there into free agency, and it was not a secret. They wanted to bring in Josh Sweat. Josh Sweat, he had a very good connection with Jonathan Gannon. For the ones that don't know, Jonathan Gannon is the former defensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles. That's the Super Bowl to where the Eagles lost against the Kansas City Chiefs because James Bradberry was holding on to Juju Smith-Schuster. But the biggest problem in that Super Bowl matchup, they could not sack Patrick Mahomes. But Jonathan Gannon did a lot of good things defensively all year long. The Philadelphia Eagles had one of the best defenses in the NFL that season. The players just could not get to Patrick Mahomes on a consistent basis. But you have Josh Sweat. Josh Sweat is a very good pass rusher. He doesn't have to go out there. He doesn't have to be T.J. Watt. He doesn't have to be Max Crosby or Myles Garrett or Micah Parsons. But he is a very good player. He's coming off a strong year with the Philadelphia Eagles. He's going to be a top pass rusher on this team immediately. Hell, I'm expecting for him to be the best pass rusher for the first couple of weeks or maybe the entire season. 8 sacks from 2024, 6.5 sacks in 2023. He had 11 sacks in 2022 and 1 interception. His best year was with Jonathan Gannon. Jonathan Gannon can get the most out of him. They have a good rapport on and off the field, and I expect for Josh Sweat to continue to be one of the best pass rushers in the NFC. By adding him in, you now have a clear rotation of defensive players that can get to the quarterback. Because one thing that we have seen with the Philadelphia Eagles and we have seen with teams that have won Super Bowls in the past, they have a bunch of guys that can come in and they can get to the quarterback on a consistent basis. You have your rotational pass rushers. Some pass rushers may come in on 2nd or 3rd down. That means that they're not as strong against the run game. Josh Sweat is strong against the run game and also in terms of getting to the quarterback. And you have Zaven Collins. Zaven Collins, you're depending on him to be your top sack leader over the last few years since you switched him from being a linebacker to being primarily an edge rusher. And Xavier Collins has been very underwhelming for being a first-round pick. He's not a bust, but he has not lived up to that potential just yet. But he just had 5 sacks last season. You now can bring him in alongside Josh Sweat, and you have B.J. Ojulari with Darius Robinson. That's a very good plethora of defensive linemen to have on the outside, and you can move them around. And the one thing with Jonathan Gannon, he wants to give you different looks. That is what helped the Philadelphia Eagles have one of the best defenses in the NFL at the time. The fact that they had so many defensive linemen that could get to you and do different things. And they also signed Dalvin Tomlinson, who is a very good player. Dalvin Tomlinson had 3 sacks last year. He's very good against the run. He could push the pocket, and he could eat up double teams. Now you can see if Jonathan Gannon is really going to have a positive impact on the Arizona Cardinals. Even though he's not their main defensive play caller, he has a lot to say so with their defense, and he is a defensive head coach. So I expect for the front seven to be better, and I expect for the Arizona Cardinals defense to be better as a whole. When I look at their secondary, they can bring in another player. I like Garrett Williams. He's a very young player playing inside the nickel, and he had a solid year this year. 9 pass deflections, 2 interceptions, 40 solo tackles. But I look at Sean Murphy-Bunting. Sean Murphy-Bunting as a cover corner, he's not good. I'm just going to be honest here. He did have 3 interceptions. He did have 2 forced fumbles, 5 pass deflections. I look at Sean Murphy-Bunting. You don't want to put him in one-on-one situations against true number 1 wide receivers, and the same with number 2 wide receivers. Very solid against the run. But as a true starting cornerback, you can find another player to bring in. I expect for the Arizona Cardinals to draft a cornerback in the first or the second round, and then eventually he could take the role of Sean Murphy-Bunting. Overall, as a player, he's solid. As a cover corner, I just don't see it, especially in this division with wide receivers like Devontae Adams, Puka Nacua. Then you also have to worry about other teams in this division. You have Jackson Smith-Njigba, who's a very good player inside the slot. You don't have to worry about DK Metcalf and Cooper Kupp anymore. They're no longer in this division. And you have Brandon Ayuk that you have to worry about. So now look at Sean Murphy-Bunting. I think that he's good enough to keep around, but he's not going to be that glue guy that you're looking for in a Jonathan Gannon system. Because let's not forget, Jonathan Gannon had James Bradbury and Darius Slay playing like top cornerbacks in the NFL at the time when he was their defensive coordinator. So expect for him to be aggressive in the NFL draft to bring in a shutdown cornerback with the pick that they have. The linebacker position, you do have some solid players there, but they can get better at the linebacking spot. You have Mack Wilson Sr., had a solid year, 3 sacks, 1 interception. I don't expect for him to blitz as much as he did from this previous season with the Arizona Cardinals because you have those pass rushers now. Expect for him to be more so in a cover linebacker role. He can still go out there and blitz, but I don't expect for him to be blitzing as much as he did over the last few years because now you have those pass rushers if they can stay fully healthy. But I like the defense that the Arizona Cardinals are building, especially with Jonathan Gannon leading the way. Now, this portion of the video is more so about Kyler Murray and Drew Petzing. Even though I really like Jonathan Gannon as a head coach and they're building things the right way, when I look at Drew Petzing, he fits everything that Jonathan Gannon wants as a defensive coordinator. When you look at defensive coordinators in the NFL, what is the one thing they want their offensive coordinators to do for the most part? Be conservative. They want their quarterback to not make those many mistakes. They want to run the football, control the line of scrimmage. That's what Jonathan Gannon wants. I had problems with Drew Petzing early on. Now, granted, Kyler Murray missed majority of that season, recovering from that ACL injury. So you had Josh Dobbs as your starting quarterback until you traded him to the Minnesota Vikings. But Coach Drew had a lot of bad moments then. Since then, it's gotten worse. For the first 5 weeks of the regular season, the Arizona Cardinals, they were up and they were down. You saw Kyler Murray be very inconsistent, but the one thing he did a great job of was take care of the football on a consistent basis for the first half of the season until he ran against the Los Angeles Rams and also until he ran into the Seattle Seahawks. That's when problems started to ensue. Even though Kyler Murray did not step up in those games, you know who got out coached? Coach Drew did. Even though Kyler Murray had terrible moments with turning the football over, Coach Drew was out-coached by Coach McDonald, the head coach with the Seattle Seahawks, and he was outcoached by the defensive coordinator with the Los Angeles Rams. We did not see Kyler Murray make these same mistakes with Cliff Kingsbury calling plays. And Cliff Kingsbury was not a good play caller, and he was not a good head coach with the Arizona Cardinals. But you saw Kyler Murray do better things in short yardage situations, and he was better in the red zone. Kyler Murray has to be better. Yes, he's the franchise quarterback, but your coach is there to help you out. When I look at Marvin Harrison Jr., and when I look at Trey McBride, and I look at Greg Dortch and Michael Wilson, they ran the same routes every single time against the same coverages. It was a bunch of curls, a bunch of drags, and a bunch of posts on third down. You did not scheme up plays for Marvin Harrison Jr. You didn't move him around. You just primarily left him on the outside. You could put him inside the slot. And this notion that certain wide receivers can't play inside the slot, look at what DK Metcalf did last year with the Seattle Seahawks. They put him inside the slot. They put him on the outside. Move your wide receivers around. And this is one thing that Cliff Kingsbury was terrible at with the Arizona Cardinals. He goes over to the Washington Commanders. He's better off now than he was then because he's gotten that experience. I think that Coach Drew will have a bright future in the NFL as a play caller, but just not right now. He'll be better off as a position coach, and hopefully I'm wrong about this. Hopefully next season he will be better, but I can't come on here right now and say that he's a good offensive coordinator because he's not. The same problems that they ran into with Josh Dobbs, even though he's not on the same level with Kyler Murray, you ran into with Kyler Murray. And Kyler Murray is a significantly better quarterback than Josh Dobbs in terms of arm power and in terms of going out there and running the football with his legs. And that's another problem that I have with Drew. You did not call up plays for Kyler Murray to use his legs. Now, Kyler Murray is not a big quarterback like Josh Allen or Jalen Hurts. He's not going to run anyone over, but he has speed. He's a dual threat quarterback. Call some play action bootlegs. Let him use his legs instead of just being this pocket passer. You're neutralizing Kyler Murray, and Kyler Murray can operate from inside the pocket when the pass protection is there. The pass protection was not there in the interior this year, and it hasn't been there for quite some time with the Cardinals. The play calling has to be better. They're a solid run team because you have James Conner. James Conner's one of the better power backs that you can have. James Conner just had over 1,000 rushing yards this previous season, and he had 8 rushing touchdowns. He averaged 4.6 yards a carry, and you have Trey Benson. So your running back core is very good. I expect for the run game to still be solid, but integrate that in with Kyler Murray. And I'm not talking about the plays where Kyler Murray, he's running around himself. Call in some design plays to roll him outside the pocket. Because what we saw at the University of Oklahoma, Kyler Murray, some of his biggest plays came outside the pocket, and the same with Cliff Kingsbury. And let him take the top off the defense with Marvin Harrison Jr. Even though I have a lot of bad energy towards Drew Petzing right now, I have to talk about this also. Kyler Murray has to step up. Kyler Murray has to be better. Kyler Murray and that connection with Marvin Harrison Jr. this year, it was so inconsistent. And the play with Kyler Murray as a whole was inconsistent. Kyler Murray has to learn, if Marvin Harrison Jr. doesn't get complete separation, I can still throw the football there. Marvin Harrison Jr. did not have a terrible rookie season, but it was hard for them to get him the football in certain situations. He averaged 14 yards a catch. He only had 62 receptions. He's easily the best wide receiver in that room. Give him the football. And they did a great job of this against the Los Angeles Rams. And before that matchup, you have Kyler Murray coming out. He's being sarcastic, and he's saying it's not my job to get Marvin Harrison Jr. the football. I'm not going to force him the football. And then the next week, he has one of the best games for a rookie of all time in the regular season against a single opponent. But go out there, feed him. Kyler Murray is not comfortable throwing those 50-50 balls. But when you have someone in Marvin Harrison Jr. who is 6'4", 210 pounds, you give him that football. You put the ball to where he can get it. And I've seen Kyler Murray do this before with DeAndre Hopkins. DeAndre Hopkins did not always go out there and separate with the Arizona Cardinals when they had him with this roster. It was a lot of 50-50 catches. Go out there and do the same thing with Marvin. Marvin Harrison is going to be fine. He had 885 receiving yards, 8 receiving touchdowns. He's a young player. He's a rookie. He's going to get better. And you know that his dad, he's not going to put up with this either. He's going to see a couple of things that didn't work out his rookie season. He's going to work on that. That's a part of having your dad as a former player that played your position. But to compare Marvin Harrison Jr. to Brian Thomas, who is a wide receiver with the Jacksonville Jaguars, and Malik Neighbors, you can say that Marvin Harrison Jr. has taken a backseat to those wide receivers. Don't count him out just yet after one season. I think Marvin Harrison Jr. will be that next Larry Fitzgerald with the Arizona Cardinals. That's the type of skill set that he has. And I look at the rest of the wide receivers, they're solid. Michael Wilson, he's a solid player. Greg Dortch, solid player. Those are two very good wide receivers. You could bring in another wide receiver, but I like the core that you have. Let them develop. And I look at this offensive line. You need to bring in a better guard at the right guard position. That's something that you have to do. Because I look at the interior of this offensive line, it's ranked the bottom of the NFL in terms of pass protection. And when we go back to that game against the Seattle Seahawks, even though Kyler Murray did let them down and Drew Petzing, he basically got outcoached the entire game, the interior of the offensive line got wrecked by Leonard Williams. Leonard Williams was the only man that was wreaking havoc on that defense. And what happened was the fact that Kyler Murray, he could not step up inside the pocket. So he's drifting off to the right. And he's dealing with pressure because Jonah Williams went down also. So now when your interior of your offensive line is making it harder for your right tackle to step up, you only have one consistent offensive lineman and Paris Johnson Jr. on the left side. And even though Paris Johnson Jr., he's elite at his position, the other players have to step up around him. And Jonah Williams, he's a solid right tackle. He's not one of the best right tackles to have, but he's a solid player that you can keep on your roster. You have to find a way to bring in the right interior offensive lineman to help out Kyler Murray. That's why they made the trade to bring in Rodney Hudson many, many years ago. Around that time, they were gearing up to make a major playoff run. And unfortunately, the only time the Cardinals went to the playoffs with Kyler Murray, Cliff Kingsbury was the head coach, and they got outcoached by the Rams. I'm not trying to come on here and blame every single coach for Kyler Murray and his shortcomings in the NFL. But the roster has not been the best around him, but Kyler Murray also has to step up. I will admit that. And Kyler Murray is not this terrible quarterback either, but in the big moments, he has to go out there and he has to show out. I remember a few years back, he signed the contract. It had a clause that was leaked. They were saying that he's not studying enough. And it was all the memes that came out. He's playing video games. Kyler Murray works hard to get in this position, to be as great as he was at the high school and college level. He works hard. But Kyler Murray has to be better moving forward. That's all that I'm pretty much saying here. And then when I look at the rest of the Arizona Cardinals team, because I talked about the offensive line, Jonah Williams being solid, you could bring in interior linemen, it's Trey McBride. Trey McBride is a very good tight end. He had over 1,000 receiving yards this previous season. He only had 2 receiving touchdowns. Once again, Coach Drew, find a way to get your top targets the football in short yardage situations. Find the way to go out there and make them major threats in the red zone. And you still have James Conner on the back end of your offense. There is no reason why the Arizona Cardinals should have not been in contention to win this division in the last 4 weeks of the regular season. But let me know in the comment section below how you feel about the Arizona Cardinals, and are they making the right decisions right now in free agency? If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, want each and every last one of you guys stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for the video, guys. God bless. Peace.